Hi there, Glocal Citizens. Welcome back to the podcast that inspires a borderless mindset around doing something in the world. I'm Florence Adu, your host, and today has been an interesting day because the winds were very cool, the sun was kind of in and out, and we had my first rainstorm, thunderous as it is. I just saw a spark of lightning, my first rainstorm of the season. So I think this might be officially the start of the raining season, and I think you might be hearing some thunder and lightning as we speak. So let's not call it a horror film today because we have a wonderful guest here that is a ray of sunshine, a ray of light. I really enjoy this young lady. She has upwards of 30 years of international development and enterprise experience with a concentration in NGO communities, working with organizations such as Afford, USAID, Remit Aid, DFID, and Comic Relief, just to name a few. She is currently an Entrepreneurship Specialist with MEST Africa and the Women's Entrepreneurship Day Ambassador for Ghana, where she mentors, trains, and empowers women and girls at all stages of their entrepreneurial journey. Toyin Dania, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Florence.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Great. So Toyin, why don't we just jump right in? Tell us more about where you're from, where you're local, and what is your craft?
Great. Thank you so much, Florence. I'm Nigerian. I've spent most of my life in the UK, but Nigerian parentage, and I decided to come to Ghana about 7 years ago, and it's now been 6.5 years that I've been here. And it's been an amazing journey. I particularly like being on the continent and I wanted to experience it for myself. So that's why I actually wanted to uproot and actually come and live and work here.
Okay. So you did not grow up at all in Nigeria?
I did primary 1 and 2 in Nigeria. Okay. And that's a very good memory for me because it was such an experience. And when I went back to the UK, it carried me through for so long about how to be in a classroom and how to learn. It took about 3 years to unlearn all of that because what is an African classroom and what is an English classroom are two different things. So having been in Nigeria and trying to be top of the class, trying to being noticed by the teacher and being an exemplary student, coming to the UK, being the milk monitor and always putting my hand up first and answering all the questions and being shown to be knowledgeable was the complete opposite where I went to school in Pitsea, Basildon in Essex. Well, people tried to bully me to sort of say, why are you trying to be the teacher's pet? What's the matter with you? You make us all look bad. Why do you answer so many questions? Like, well, because I know the answer. And I want to show that I know the answer.
Right.
It was a culture shock that I didn't know at the time because I was so young. It was like 7 in Nigeria till I was 9. 9. It was very, very, it wasn't traumatic because my sisters were with me, but they were having different experiences. But the classroom was definitely my first initiation into the culture shock, having come back from Nigeria. And then coming back to Africa, the culture shock again as an adult was completely different.
So it's interesting you say that about...
Would you like to say something about that?
Oh, no. Yeah. So it's interesting you say that about how you were cultured to strive for excellence. And then when you came back, that's still our mindset, right? So yes. In our own cultures, you strive for excellence. And then in other cultures, you also strive for excellence. But that you were bullied was so interesting because all we know is that we have to be better, right? As Black people around the globe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I was the only Black person in my school, not just my class, in my school when I came back to the UK.
Okay.
So that alone was a culture shock and I was bullied mercilessly. But I'm not the type, even then, to be bullied. So it didn't last long.
Right. Good for you. I can imagine.
I dealt with them. I went to the headmaster and told on all of them, said, why do they keep doing this to me? Who do they think they are? If they don't stop, I'm just going to have fights every day and I really don't want to.
Yeah.
He looked at me and said, oh my gosh, what type of a student we got here? And then he did a whole assembly about why I'm different and why they should look after me and why are people picking on me, and they should understand that they're showing me their culture by being so mean and horrible, and what they should be showing me is the best side of themselves, and they should stop it. And if they don't stop it, they'll be punished. And I should report to them anytime they do anything to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is a whole junior school. I'm going to get beaten up. But then some of the biggest bullies came up and said, if anyone says anything to you, Toyin, just let me know. I'll sort them out for you. I'm like, really? Okay, you're not going to beat me up then? Okay, because I'll be ready to fight back. You can beat me up, but I will definitely fight back.
Right,
so you want me to do it again. I'm too much trouble for you to interfere with. I'm not going to lay back and let you hit.
Right.
But it really was, at that young age to have that, and then to go home and say to my sisters, this happened. And for them to come back and say, oh, but this happened to me. Completely different from what happened to me, but a different side of the cultural re-immersion that we were going through. I was doing mine at junior school, a sister was doing it at infant school, and my sister was doing it at secondary school. All different stages of the education system in Essex, which is a predominantly working class area, and a Black person trying to be something special, they really didn't like it at all.
Were there other people of color?
Yes, but just not at my school at my age.
Okay, got it.
So my sister had a couple in her year at school, in senior school. But when my sister was at school, Roots just came out and they were like, oh my God, you're Kizzy, you're a slave, and dealing with that.
Oh, wow.
And she'd come home with all these stories, and we were watching Roots and we were just fascinated by Roots. But then we knew we had to then deal with all of people's imaginings of Black people sort of thrust upon us to explain everything. Yeah. And we weren't African American. So that was not ever our experience or ever our family's experience.
Right.
That we were asked all these questions and made to seem like that was our life. And it's like, well, no. But then I was with white foster parents and like, well, why are you with white people? Where are your parents? What did you do? What did you do wrong? And all these questions, and I'd go home and say to them, they think that I've done something wrong. That's why I'm different with you. My parents it's this thing that Nigerians did in the 60s,
their children,
the 70s.
Yeah.
Send their children to England. And I was born in England, so they're sending me back to England. Yeah. And it was immensely, at the time, you just got on with it. But as you grow, you know that it's that muscle that's been tightened and worked at, etc. And you're ready. And I didn't want to fight all the time. I wanted to explain. And I think that's why I eventually went into coaching and mentoring, because I'm not someone who always wants to fight or is aggressive. I will put my point across and you'll understand that I have something to say. But I really don't want to fight all the time. I haven't got time for it. I'm busy doing what I'm doing. You get it on with life. So if you want to fight, go ahead and do that. That's not my bag.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yes,
okay.
It's funny talking about it. I haven't gone there for a little while. Thank you, Florence.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting that you talk about Roots, because so I come being an African family, watching Roots as a child as well. So I went to school and I went to a very mixed school. So it was more like the white kids weren't watching it. Only the Black kids were watching it. And so it was more the Black kids who were like, oh, okay, is your dad Kunta Kinte? All of these. Yeah. So, I had different kinds of explaining and, my skin is very dark. So it just became a whole other thing. But again, I was smart and celebrated for that smartness. So I think that's the striving for excellence. Even though teachers were often not willing to give me the support or the acclaim, I knew just because at home, excellence was what we were taught. So no matter whatever the teacher said, follow it, but know that you are as good as you know you are. So interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I really hear that. Thank you.
Yeah. So you touched a little bit on your current craft. So tell us more about your craft.
When you started the piece, you said that I worked for AFFORD, and AFFORD is an acronym for the African Foundation for Development. And when I discovered them, it's like my African heart woke up. I'd gone to Nigeria for holidays and met up with my cousins and other siblings, but I'd never worked in Africa before. So I found the African Foundation for Development, and they were talking to young people about going back and giving back and relocating to the continent and adding value and conversations that I'd never had before. And I've been with them for the past 20 years. When I investigated further, I really wanted to work with them. So they were working in development. And at the time, I was working in entrepreneurship training with young entrepreneurs in Tooting, South London. And I was working in a hub for 18 to 30-year-old young entrepreneurs. And I was using business coaching, mentoring, and training to help them unlock their entrepreneurship potential. And I found that I could use those skills for Afford, because Afford needed those types of training courses for young people that they were trying to engage with, and for projects that they were doing maybe in the UK to enable people to go back to the continent, or for people to do it on the continent. And I came at a really good time because they were doing trade missions. So I did about 7 of them in Sierra Leone, in Ghana, and 1 in Nigeria. And I just thought to myself, I am having so much more fun understanding how business works from an African perspective. And I couldn't give support and advice from the UK to an African business. So the seed was planted that at some point I'm going to live on the continent, live and work on the continent. And that was planted by some really talented and exceptional people at Afford. That's why I still have a relationship with them today. So the first role they gave me, which meant that I'd left my incubator that I'd been at for 10 years to go and set up another incubator in Sierra Leone. And I did that for the African Business Centre for Afford. And a really humbling experience, because I've been going back and forward to Sierra Leone, but now I was going to live and work in Sierra Leone. And that was a different concept.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see what a post-conflict country. Sierra Leone not quite being the transition that I fit into well. And I then chose Ghana.
Okay, got it.
So a trade mission was an interesting way to bring Africans in the diaspora together with the continent. So it was a 2-week trip that was really about bringing support from the UK, not we're coming to tell you what to do, which is how we explained the training course for people when we prepared them to come on these trade missions. It was really about, we have some clients who would like us to mentor and coach them and train them. We're going to do these training processes for entrepreneurs, and your role is to support them. Some of them that came were entrepreneurs, some were financial people, investors, business development experts. There were a range of people that we targeted to come on these trade missions so that they could actually see and invest on the continent. So if you didn't feel you wanted to move back yet, then you felt that you could invest in a business that you've been working with. I also found a lot of people did not come back, especially when they came to Ghana. They loved Ghana so much. And a lot of the Ghanaian people who came on these trade missions literally went back to the UK and came back, because what they saw was not what they heard in the press, not what they heard from relatives, etc. It was a completely different story. And that's what was really great about being on the ground. You hear things in the press that people want you to hear. Mm-hmm. People tell you what you want to hear, but there's nothing better than real hard experience, being there on the ground, listening, being part of it, living, working, breathing to understand how a place works. So this ecosystem we came into was completely different. What we'd heard, there's mansions here, there's houses with swimming pools here, there's people doing fantastic businesses. And just like, why didn't we know this? We've come to help. And it's like, gosh, you should help us. We found out, how much the diaspora in terms of remittances, etc. And these remittances were coming back to build houses, were coming back to send people through to university, were coming back to send people to different countries to go and get an education and then come back to the continent and make a difference. And these are all stories that weren't being told till you came to the continent and heard them for yourself and saw them for yourself. It was incredible. It was an eye-opener for me, but I would go back to my little world and nobody would mind me. They would just be like, yeah, whatever, we're not going, thank you. But, good luck if you want to do that. I've been here for 6.5 years. Some of my friends have come, some family have come and they're like, gosh, you've got a really good life. I'm like, yes, I do. I love where I live. That is actually the motto of the complex I live on, love where you live. But it really is a different experience. My 6.5 years here, if I equate it to 6.5 years in the UK, I can't tell you memorable things. I can tell you my memorable friends and experiences from that point of view. But professionally, I mean, we get invitations to the high commissions. We get invitations where we can be in the same room as a president. We get invitations where we're talking to decision makers on big projects like DFID and GIZ and all of these things, where in the UK, you wouldn't get those opportunities. Well, I know that I didn't get those opportunities. And being part of a consortium that I am now, which is a European and an African project, is absolutely fantastic. But I don't think, have got this type of project if I was in the UK doing it the other way around. It's doing it from Africa to Europe that I've got this opportunity. And at the moment, we're an innovative space. So we're it's just gone out of my head. We're a digital innovation hub, Meltwater, and we deal with science technology, which are the go-to topics of our new normal. And we want to train some of our vulnerable adults to learn some of these wonderful new technologies so that they can actually be part of the new normal. We're specifically targeting women because we want women to be part of this program and to be part of the global change that's happening. Because if you don't have to write code, but you have to know about IT to be able to get any type of a job in the future. So we really want women to be part of that story. So 40% of my demographic will be women. The project started in January and we've got it for 3 years. And it's just amazing how much attention we've got for it, because people really want to engage with us and we want to engage with people. But if you want, I can give you the website and all that other stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So for our listeners, I just wanted to kind of emphasize. So the organization is, as you said, Meltwater Science and Technology, which is what MEST stands for, right? And so they are, I don't know if you all, maybe tell us a little bit more about Meltwater as this larger philanthropic, science-focused organization across the continent. I mean, I think they're global, but they do quite a bit across the continent, right?
Well, they do quite a lot. There's specifically the area I deal with is Africa. So we focus on Africa. It is a NGO that's funded in America, but it primarily looks for entrepreneurial ecosystem type of projects. So we're working with UNDP, we're working with MasterCard Foundation, we're working with my consortium now, which is called Digilogic, and it's a combination of 3 European countries. We've also got digital innovation hubs in Finland, Italy, and Germany. And then we have 2 African hubs, MEST and Bongo Hive in Zambia. So MEST covers South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, and Ghana in terms of its coverage. And when they do call to actions, they ask entrepreneurs to come onto their programs, and they can be in any of those countries. And we'll support them. So primarily it's about support. We have a fantastic ecosystem that really works to connect and engage. It's full of stakeholders who are investors, innovators, creatives, and people new to innovation and technology who want to join the family in some way or another, which is to engage with us on one of our programs. Sometimes we specifically ask that you have been in business for a year. Sometimes we ask that you've been in business for 2 years. Sometimes we ask you have no experience at all. It depends on the project. But after 10 years, we know the types of projects that work for this clientele. And we're always innovating and developing so that we can make sure that our programs hit the mark. So this particular project focuses on logistics. So we've got the Africa Free Trade Agreement now coming on board. So that's really a good project to have at this particular time. We want to work really closely with them. And those negotiations are going on now. But it's really interesting that the free trade means, yes, we can trade wherever, but are people actually delivering on the ground? Can you go to a border and say, okay, this is the Africa Free Trade Agreement, section 612. I want to cross a border and I'm free to cross a border with my products and services. Let me through. And on the ground, it's different. So there's a lot of retraining, a lot of understanding that's going to be spread amongst the participating nations that this free trade will work on the ground as well. So why are we not trading with Senegal that's literally next door to us? Why are we not trading with Cameroon and all the other countries that are so close by? You'll find that some of these products have to go to Europe before they actually get to Africa because the infrastructure is not there. But why is the infrastructure not there? And why are we not, as Africans, looking for solutions for that? So this project is going to look at some of those solutions. We're going to have some challenges to look at solutions to some of the issues that are out there. And we're really looking forward to participating with our ecosystem. I'm trying to say not as little as possible, but enough, because some of the information is still quite confidential.
I was getting that sense. I was
yes, but at the same time, I can give you general yes. areas of it, but yes. in general are a enabler. They want to interact with the ecosystem that says, we want to be part of the next generation. We want to learn. We've got products and services we want to share. We want to get better at our businesses. We want to learn how to get access to some of these funds that are out there that investors are looking for. Yes, we want to be the big new thing, but at the same time, it takes the processes, the understanding of business, the patience, the tenacity, and the hard work and sheer determination to live out your entrepreneurial dream. And that's what MES's about. We want you to have that with them. And we are on that journey with you. So I'm project managing this, but I also act as a mentor and a coach for them. So we're going to have some courses a little bit later on, and I'll be working on those. I've worked on particularly female-focused projects. I did a project that was all about women in tech, and it was just fantastic. And I'm still in touch with the girls now because I really had a good time, and I'm recommending them to other people for their solutions. It's just incredible how close you can get to people, because everyone needs a big sister. It doesn't matter if it's in business. And that's really how I've always wanted to work. I don't want to be your boss. I don't want to be your lecturer. I want to be someone who's at your side. This business is yours. You've got your vision. You've got your motivation, your objectives. I'm someone there to soundboard against. I'm someone to signpost you to somewhere where I know there's funds for your type of idea. I'm there to say to you, I'm not sure about that. I don't quite understand that. So that you then refine it so it's understandable to the lay person, because that's who your customer is. They don't know all your jargon. You know the jargon. Let them hear the layman's term. So they buy into your idea. They buy into you. They buy into what it is you have to offer. And that's the side of business I really like. And you find that everybody just needs to be heard. They need to know that their business idea has got sound footing, so that if it's not, you've got some hard truths to tell people. And it's done in a way that helps them to grow rather than defeats them and helps them to give up on that dream. I'll never kill a dream for anybody. I don't care how big it is and where you are along the journey of achieving it. I will motivate you. And if I motivate you to go 1% of what you need to do, that was my job, because I would never say to you, don't do it. I'll tell you to refine it. I'll tell you to maybe get some other partners on board that can help you move forward, but I'll never kill the dream for you. You will make that decision yourself based on what you do and don't have. Your business needs certain things, and Mott Water want to give you those processes. My whole experience has been about developing businesses and business people, as well as developing my own. And it's just very, very interesting watching flowers bloom, which is how I like to see my clients, just blooming. They don't come from zero. They come from a starting point, and you're part of their journey, but you're going to move on. They're going to move on, but hold a little bit so you can keep in touch with those ones and just see how they are in a year's time, 2 years' time. What happened? What did they do? They're still on the journey.
Nice.
I could talk to you all day about
I know. I can tell. I can tell. I really like what you said about you'll never be responsible for killing someone's dream, because I think that's like mentorship 101, right? Because so many people beat up on people, but they just need someone to point them in a direction for them to make their own decision, right? Like so that they own what it is in every aspect of it. So I think that's a wonderful place to be. So speaking of, so I think you kind of covered my why the where question, but I want to put it in a little bit of a different spin, because you spoke a lot about how you came to Ghana and being in Ghana. So, and you've just recently moved into a new place. So let me ask you, in your experience moving to Ghana, the question is, how did you come to be living, working, and playing where you live? So tell us a little bit more about your journey over the 6 years of identifying what part of Ghana, Accra, Kumasi, where in Accra. So tell us a little bit more about that.
That's a very interesting way of looking at it. Thank you. So when I came, I have traveled, I've been all over Ghana. And what I love is the vegetation and the scenery, the mountains, the waterfalls, the culture, the food, the dynamics. It's just incredible. And I have lasted because I only speak English, but I will invest in a tree course because I really think it would really. A few things. I say hello, I say thank you. I fish a par at Christmas time, but I really need to make sure I can do a little bit better.
Okay.
But my journey here started in Tessano. So when I first came, I was in Tessano, which was a really nice suburb in Accra. Mm-hmm. And I was there for about a year. And then I moved to Cantonments, which is another nice area. And all of these areas were very central to where I was working and where I was networking and having my playtime. So they were quite nice areas. Then I moved to East Legon, which was just my favorite space. I really liked East Legon. It's vibrant. It was developing. So there was lots of new homes. I was in apartments. I know in Ghana, apartments aren't very popular, but they're becoming so because there's a lot of people coming from out of town. But the area just had everything I needed. It wasn't too far away from the markets to get some of my products. It wasn't far from shops that reminded me of the UK. I could go and get my bacon and go and get my cheese and bits and pieces, and then have my ketchup and Heinz baked beans and just little things to remind me of home. But not that I wanted to go home because I was still going backwards and forwards to the UK to visit friends and family.
Yes.
But I was still enjoying my contomere and enjoying my yams and my jollof rice. And the jollof wars, I'm Nigerian, remember? And going out and about and eating local food and how much I pay for local food and going to the restaurants and seeing the difference that I was paying in restaurants, thinking, I need to conserve some money here because Accra is very expensive. And I'm thinking in London, I have the infrastructure, I have ease of moving around, I have all these different benefits. But in Accra, it's traffic, it's noise, it's pollution, it's everything. But I loved it. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to change it for anything. I didn't have a car when I first came, so I was having those wonderful experiences in taxis and being able to say, no, don't go that way, go this way. This way is quicker. Right. And knowing where I was going, and for them keep me and take me the long way round. And then Uber came. Uber just made it so much easier because didn't really have road names and stuff like that. So it was very difficult for me, but I got to know my area. Yeah, I got to know where I was. Yeah. But then Uber came to town and I would just be able to look out the window and say, yeah, we're going in the right direction.
Relax.
And make sure I was on the quickest route to make sure they weren't trying to scam me, because they hear your accent. And this is another thing in Ghana, they hear your accent and suddenly the fare goes up 50% in ordinary taxi. Yes. But you can't do that in an Uber. The price is fixed and you can control it. So I really enjoyed that. But just as Uber came in and I was enjoying all of that, I got a car and I thought to myself, I just want to be going around myself. Yeah. I don't want stopping and starting and carrying everything with me if I was going to go out after work. And I just felt like the bag lady from Calcutta. I just had all these different outfits and
exactly.
And I got fed up with it. I just got fed up with it because I'd have to leave it in the office and then I might come back and it wasn't there, or I forget that I left it in the office. I mean, all these different things. So I just resolved to get a car, and that was the best thing. It was expensive, very, very expensive. And I'll never do it again because the agreement that I made with the guys, if I liked the car for 2 years, I could buy it at a discounted price like you do in the UK. But when it came to it, it's like, no, this is the price, because they don't do depreciation here. It's like I put on a car for $10,000. When I sell it 2 years, 3 years down the line, I'm going to get $10,000. No, you're not. It's depreciated. You need to get 5,000 or 7,000. Wow. You're getting 10. Yeah. And that concept is not here. So I'm really glad Volkswagen is building here and doing the sort of pay as you go, so that you say, right, if you're going to pay for this car, okay, it's 10,000, but you pay for it. And if you then want to stop paying for it, you just give the car back and start again.
Right, exactly. Like a proper lease structure.
A proper system. Yeah. And my brother drove my car from Nigeria to here. So I have Nigerian plates. And everyone says to me, change your place. You keep getting stopped by the police, and they're harassing you because they think they don't think I'm Nigerian. They know. Nigerian. They know you're Nigerian, and they just equate being Nigerian with troublemaking. You have money. There's so many different connotations with the Nigerian persona. So I work with them.
Right.
That to help them meet someone nice that they can say is Nigerian, and maybe they'll change their perception. But I still drive around with it. I've had the car 3 years now, and I'm not going to change it.
Yeah, why not? Why not, right? I mean, you're Nigerian, and so it is each of our responsibility to be our own ambassadors. So I like that.
But when you talk about here, I talk about what made me live in the different areas. When I left East Legon, it was then about, I want to buy. I'm ready to buy. I have learnt the tricks. I have paid my dues in terms of rent. And I never rented in the UK. I always had my home. And in fact, when I was old enough to earn, I owned my first house at 21 with my best friend.
Wow.
I rented up until that point, but I really didn't like paying money that was going down the drain. So I always wanted to have somewhere. My original idea was to stay in Tesno with my friend and save up enough to build a house, because that's what people did. But then I was getting all these horror stories about land issues and architects who show you designs of other people's homes and have never put a stone block together in their life, and who'll take your deposit and run away. But then I was seeing these beautiful homes and thinking, well, it can't be all bad. I'm just going to find the beautiful home. I'm just going to find the builder and the architects that work for me.
Sure.
So Clifton Homes were one of them, and I lived in Clifton Homes for 2 years in East Legon. But they weren't building where I wanted to be, because I'd had enough of city life. I now wanted to be out in the sticks.
I understand.
So I decided, and I wanted peace and quiet. I wanted it to be that you called me, that you were coming because you were scared I wouldn't be there because you've got too far to go. You didn't just, I'm coming around to eat. I'm like, I'm going to sleep.
Right. Yeah. No.
I've got other people here. Do you mind? You could have called.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that. And I have lovely friends here. I actually have a family of friends here. So I've got friends all over the place. And I was walking up the Aburi Mountains, not often, once in a while. Then I played netball at the university campus with some of these wonderful young girls. And there was lots of talk around where would I buy? And West Legon was really nice. East Legon was nice, but the pricing was not my taste. Sure. And I was not going to overpay because I could easily buy in the UK. The interest rate in the UK is 1 point something percent.
Exactly.
Here it's like 35%.
Exactly.
Do the math.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, of my hard-earned money, where would I like it to go? So I knew that I'll be going backwards and forwards to the UK. So I thought, okay, I'll have somewhere in the UK, but I'll also have somewhere here. So I did opt for an apartment, which I've just moved into. But I had to wait for it because it was off plan. And I lived in rented accommodation for 2 years. But that was because of COVID, because it was meant to be done in a year. And
right.
And it would take year. So we all had to do a little bit of pivoting and readjusting for COVID.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting, the process, because I'd heard so many of the stories and I didn't want mine to be a bad story. I wanted to welcome people to Ghana and encourage people to come to Ghana. And I'd spoken to my friends, you buying there, or are you scared? I'm like, I'm more scared to buy in the UK, to be honest.
Right.
Because,
yeah.
You can be ripped off, but you can take them to court. If you get ripped off in Ghana, you've lost your money because who's already got his cart, and then it's a longer process. And I heard horror stories of people being in court for 20 years.
I'm raising my hand. I'm raising my hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Maybe not 20. But yeah, I think one project is going on 10 and someone is just now coming to take us to court on something that they have no claim to, but this is the way it works. So
it's really, and the lawyers here, how they charge, it's just like, it says I can charge this from the Law Society. I'm like, yeah, but what are you actually doing? What is your service?
Oh,
and, it's just.
I've been fortunate though. Our attorney's like our family attorney, so he's not charging craziness. So for these long term,
he's charging what it should be. I've got is amazing. She's part of my network and she is just amazing.
Yeah.
And she's made the legal side sound so much easier and so much clearer.
Exactly.
And she challenges where she needs to challenge, and she charges the right fees that fit my purse.
Right. Reasonable.
Yeah. So when
yeah.
I went through all of that to decide, I knew that I'd have to pay a certain amount of money. I'm Nigerian. We don't want mortgage, to be honest, or as short as possible. But that means sacrifice.
Okay.
You know, because you're not going to get it. We just had COVID, for goodness sake. Some of the sacrifice meant I had to then take some of my savings to live on, basically, because COVID made me pivot again. But these are the stories of your life as you move through. You know, you have to have your rainy day money. You have to be prepared. You have to make the sacrifices when you say you want something that's different to the norm. You're going to get them, but you're going to work hard for it, or you're going to have to sacrifice for it.
Right.
Either way, something's got to give. So I was lucky enough to have a decent deposit, lucky enough to be able to, in the 2 years it took to complete, that I completed. And I now live in a really nice community that has over 200 homes and really nice network of women. And the guys have their little network as well. We all spend Christmas and New Year together in our compounds and looking after each other, because we've gone through COVID and a lot of people aren't with their families.
Right.
With their friends. They can't go anywhere. So we are what we've got. I'm lucky enough to have a good set of friends as well, but it's like the social distancing,
exactly,
wearing your mask, doing things to protect your friends and family. But I haven't left the country for a year, exactly this month. I went to my favorite uncle's funeral in Nigeria, and that was my last trip. And COVID had just started then. And I said, I'm going to be with my family. If this new thing gets me, it gets me. You know, who am I? I'm not part of a family. So I'm going. And that was the last trip I took. I was there for a week, came back, did my 2 weeks isolation. And then we were on lockdown for 3 weeks.
Right. So you got back. So interestingly, last year, this time, I was in Nigeria as well. I was at Social Media Week, Lagos, and, you know, doing interviews, part of my last in-person abroad interviews. And I got back 2 days later, the borders closed. I went from Lagos, came to Ghana for a day. Then I went to London and I was there for almost 2 weeks. And mid-March, you know, I think I got back the 13th of March. And by the first case was on the 12th. And by the 15th, I think our borders closed. So, it's been
Ghana was very good. I really did take my hat off to Ghana, because London took a long time to close the borders.
Yes.
And then we were doing testing at the airport and everything so early on. I really felt safer here.
I did too.
I really did. And I'm natural vitamin D.
Right, exactly.
Natural vitamin D from blood. You know, I wasn't going to buy it over no counter.
You know, right? Exactly. So speaking of like being here for so long, this is where I ask my Glocal Speak question. So we want to hear what you hear. So I ask my guests to share a word, phrase, or saying that is a meaningful part of your local experience and why or how you came to value it as Glocal Speak.
Okay. When I'm in the UK, I feel young and vibrant. Here in Ghana, they say, oh, mummy, oh, mummy, oh, mummy.
Oh, yes.
Mummy, am I? I'm like, what? I don't have children. I'm no one's mum. I'm a godmummy. I'm an auntie. I'm a great aunt. But I'm like, mummy, the first time I heard it, I was like, do I look old? Because I don't feel it. And yes, I am older. I'm 54, but I don't feel it.
Yeah.
I'm just 54, by the way. I will be 55 in December, but it's like later on in the year. But I feel young and vibrant. When they say to me, oh, mummy, they just say it. It's like, you don't even know how old I am. You're just calling me mummy, and I think I look young. You know? And I'm not a typical 54-year-old, because I love working with young people. They keep me young. They tell me all the new things that are going on, etc., etc. And you're as young as the people you surround yourself with. Yes. So a lot of the people that are here are younger than me. And then I have a lovely group of people who are much older than me, who I go to for support and advice. and bouncing ideas, who've been in Ghana, have been through the diasporan journey and have been here for 20, 30 years, who tell me things I can't possibly hear from the younger generation. Mm-hmm. But I know that I get some from both sides. I feel like I'm in the middle ground, and I go here to get this type of advice and stuff, and then I go there to keep up with what's trendy and what's going on. Mm-hmm. But I also recognize that I learn a lot of wisdom from my older friends and older family members, and I ask a lot of questions to get some of those stories. But mummy, I'm like, I have a mummy, and I'm not a mummy. So that's the one.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Because I see myself as a sister. I don't see myself as a mummy. I see myself as a sister to my clients. I see myself as a sister to my family. I see myself as a sister to my younger friends. I see myself as a sister to my older friends. Not mummy.
Yeah.
But just call me that. I'm like, I know it works for you. It doesn't work for me. But you've given me that. And what am I going to do with that? I can't shake it off.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I hear it sometimes, and I often wonder if it's
not said to you. People don't say it to you.
The only person that says it to me is my mechanic, and he's Ewe, so I was thinking maybe it's an Ewe thing, so maybe it's Ewe said to. But yeah, so my mechanic is the only person that I hear it from. But I think he says it more the same way he might say daddy, right? So instead of uncle or auntie, he's saying that as a we have these
or sir. Yeah, madame is okay.
Sure.
Mummy.
Sure. Mummy. So I think it is that it's less formal. So he's become an integral part of my life, right? Your mechanic here in these parts becomes like, when you get a good one, he's like one of your circle. So that's how I took it.
Where is your place?
In North Jorulu, just right behind Fiesta Royale.
Okay. Yeah. My one's in East Legon, and I'm going to help him develop his business further because he's a really good mechanic.
Good.
He's got customer service down to 18.
Good. And
he's training female mechanics as well.
Nice.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, yeah, she just wants to learn, and they won't teach her in school, so she comes here. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. That is so impressive. And yes, I want to know more because I like that. I really do.
Yeah.
And,
I really do.
I wish for that sector because my uncle would call them trial and error mechanics, right? So, and it's part of the culture here is no one wants to be thought of or seen as not knowing what it is that they do because everyone, it's the bravado of, I know how to do what this is. And they may not.
You're going to do it in my car. You might kill me.
Right, exactly. But that you say that you want to help him with his business. What I can see and envision is that you are helping him to professionalize and to understand when to accept and communicate the limitations. So that I always have to tell them, just be honest with me, and then we can problem solve together. It's like, I'm not that foreigner. And again, it's part of the accent, right? So they may be a little bit more conversant with someone who speaks the same language. So I just have to go in knowing and letting them know, please talk to me. Don't just go and do so we can problem solve. So kudos to you. I want to see, and I'll throw business that way too, because if we can professionalize that profession, because our cars are so much a part of our lives, we just got to keep them running. Like to the extent that so many people have two cars, just for the mere fact that one goes wrong, they have to come to another one. So,
yeah. And it's no use just complaining about things. Be part of the solution. If someone is good, inherently good, and you can help them.
Yeah.
It's not just about money. It's about sending people their way. It's about telling people about them. It's about saying you need X done and making sure they're the ones who do it. It's not out of my way where he is, but he can come to my house to pick up my car and bring it back to my house. That type of service. Yeah. And he sits you in a waiting room that's got DSTV, and you almost forget that you're there doing your car because you can work and do stuff while you're waiting for the car to be done. Yeah.
Oh, you're fancy.
Yeah, and the person who recommended him to me, I said, why didn't you tell me about him before? He said, he's my guy, but you never told me you needed anything with your car. I said, but I have a car. Just tell me you've got a good mechanic.
Yes. Oh, he's fancy. Okay. That solves a whole problem.
And he doesn't charge too much, and he goes out of his way to get you what you need. So he'll say, I can't get this today, but I'll get it for you. So you can either leave the car here or you can take it.
Go and come. Mm-hmm.
I would like you to go. It's safe for you to drive, and I will come and I will do it at your place, or I'll come and get the car at another time. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
You know?
I like it. I think we're going to have to put his name in the show notes too, so we have some good show notes for those people who are listening in Accra and Ghana.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah. So
I've recommended him to a few people already. He said, oh, madame. He actually called me madame, not mummy. Oh, madame, you give me more people than your friend who gave me you. I'm like, oh, well, what can I say? That's me. And they call me the connect because I love connecting people together.
Sure.
I really, really do. I think it's everyone's goal in life to just, if you see something and you know that someone can do something, just put them together because they don't know each other.
Yeah,
put them together so that thing can get done.
Exactly.
Rather than left as an unfulfilled something. It doesn't cost anything.
Exactly.
But there is the saying that I've introduced you, so I get a 10% fee. That's fine if there is something there. But if you can just genuinely be putting two people together, like you with a mechanic, you've got a really good one. But this one might be an extra one, in case something's happened.
Exactly.
So you've got someone already waiting. And if his work is better than the other one, then the other one has to do better to keep your business,
Exactly. That's basically
it. He's making them more professional, better. If he wants to.
Competition.
But I feel that he might just say, oh, madam, it's okay, go. Because he doesn't want to raise his standards.
Right, or just can't, and that's part of the challenge.
And that's a training thing, it's an investment thing.
Right.
But either way, I would never give anyone money. I would rather give them my time and some skills and direct them to where they can get what they need. But if you need money, I'll direct you to where the money is. And you've got to prove, and all the things are in place to help you prove that you're going to spend that money on what you said you're going to spend it on. Rather than it be mine. Rather than be mine and then I want to kill you.
Well, it's true. So it's interesting you bring that up because I wanted to ask, in the context of your work, either as a mentor or in just generally working with businesses, how do you measure impact?
That's a really good one because I can't say that I've seen everyone and they're successful. What I can say is if an entrepreneur comes to me and decides not to be an entrepreneur because of something they're recognizing themselves that's not going to fulfill what they want to do, that's just as impactful because someone's found their purpose and they might then find something they would never have found had they not tried. So impact for me is about, we're all here for a purpose. We're all here for a reason. And as soon as you get to that reason, the better it is for your life. That's an impact measurement for me. When I work with clients and they say, oh gosh, I've not had mentoring before and I really thought it was going to be really hard. I was going to have to do all my homework and get all this stuff to you. But it's about talking to you and talking through my fears, talking through my challenges, talking through my successes and talking through my business. Does it make sense? And not because business people don't have business people to talk to. They have people from different industries and different stuff telling you their story. And it's about, can you listen to my story and listen to how I'm struggling with what I'm doing? I don't want to know what you did. I just want you to listen to me. When you're listened to, then you can, through talking, you can see what you're doing wrong yourself or what you need more clearly. It's more time consuming, but it's a better outcome. And I don't want numbers. I want quality of service. So I like projects that have 4 or 5 people that I'm responsible for. That could be for 6 months, it could be for a year. And then in that time, they have got access to their finance, they've improved their business processes, they've employed more people, they've looked in a different direction, they've pivoted, which a lot have done in this COVID new normal, and see the joy of knowing when a challenge comes that they can take a step back, think it through, brainstorm, and get back on the journey, because it's not going to be full of ups or just downs. It's going to be a combination of both. And you have to know how to do it. It's like parenting. You just know it's a long journey, but along the way, you've had some wins, you've had some losses, you've had some side knocks. But at the same time, you've developed a whole human being who can take those knocks and actually deliver better on their life because of those knocks.
Got it.
And that's a better impact story for me, that someone just knows what to do when something goes wrong. Okay, put their head in the sand for 5 minutes, go there, get angry, get frustrated, come up, right, what are we going to do about it? That resilience, and more resilient people. In Ghana, it's about doing the work. You're not just going to get the money. You need to prove it. You need to prove that your processes deserve to have this injection of capital to help you continue to grow and develop, because we all want to make a profit. But at the time you're not making a profit, what are you doing? Are you refining your idea? Are you refining yourself? Are you retraining yourself? Are you bringing on board into your business someone that can do that particular area? Because you might not be the best marketer. You might not be the best person to talk about your business. Someone else might be. You obviously came up with the idea, but you're terrible at presentations. You're not going to get funded.
Right.
If you keep being terrible at presentations.
Yeah.
So you either get better at presentations or you get someone who can do the presentations. And you can be there so that when they need that motive thing about where the idea came from, you jump in for that bit.
Yeah.
That is what it is. Yeah.
Good. I like that. I like that. In the context of knowing and looking at the impact as you described it, let's talk about mindset. And so this is where I ask my mindset hack question. What is your favorite or an innovative mindset hack? And this is one that you can imagine or one that you know of.
So what I do, I wake up early. I just can't help it. I wake up early. And the first thing I do, which I've only been doing for the last year, is just being grateful that I actually woke up. My gratitude, attitude,
Got it.
call it. So I then reel off all the things I'm thankful and grateful for and the people that I'm grateful for. And then I go about looking at my WhatsApp messages and send out some affirmations to some key people. And then that helps me to start my day. And then I try and look, especially during this COVID period, I try and look at the people I haven't heard from. And then I just send them a little, I haven't heard from you, just making sure you're okay.
Oh, that's nice. That's lovely.
And then I can start my day because it's clients as well as friends and family that I do that to.
Sure. So it's just...
So I may have a client who I no longer work with, but I had a good connection with and I haven't heard from them. I haven't got an update for them. And what it does to them, because when they send that something back that says, I was just thinking about you, or I really needed to hear from you today. Thank you so much for that. It makes my day. That I impacted their day positively.
Sure.
Because it's just that first thing I do in the morning. And even if there's friends who I haven't heard from for a little while, because we're all going through our new normal, I just send it out. They don't even have to read it. I don't even have to have a response. But when they do respond, it's something that is good for me. So I'm not chasing them to respond to me, but I have sent it out there with love and with
the energy. Love. Yeah. And that's what counts. Yeah.
And that sets me up because I can then have my hot chocolate, which I have in the morning, and then I'll follow my hot water with lemon, and then I'll have something to eat. And I work from home, so I like my routine. But I go into the office a couple of days a week, but I just like my routine. But I close my routine around 8:20 when the sun is just going down behind the mountains. And that's when I say, right, now log off. Now it's stopping that. Now I'm into the next phase of my life.
Nice.
Work is over now.
Nice. I like that. So that's great.
So I have my morning and my evening sort of, then my beginning of my day and my end of
the day routine. Got it. So you get a sunrise, affirmations, and sunset, mellow mood.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Flo. That's it. Yeah.
Nice. So Toyin, I know we have spent a lot of time together and I don't want to overstay my time welcome. So I just want to ask you one.
We don't have to drink
I know. Yes, indeed. So I want to ask you one last question or thought, because we're doing this and it's going to be Women's History Month, probably right around International Women's Day. And I know you do a lot for women and girls. So I want to ask you about leadership in women. Where do you see the next powerful, effective, and just interesting, thoughtful leaders coming out of Ghana, out of Nigeria? Where do you see them coming from?
Lovely question. Because I work with some amazing women's entrepreneurship ambassadors across the globe, but mostly the ones I interact with are my African sisters, of which I have about 40 of them. And in their own right, they're all doing amazing things. And we have a board meeting tomorrow, and I'm just so excited just to find out what they're all getting up to and how I can support them and what they can do to support me, because that's the environment. And I think we should just have sistership circles because there are leaders everywhere. There are some fantastic women in rural Ghana doing amazing things. And we just don't hear those stories.
Got it.
So I don't think anyone's in some lofty position somewhere. I think they're in our everyday behaviors, in our everyday ways to make our lives better. And COVID has played an enormous role in people getting off those high horses and getting down to treating people with respect, treating people nicely, kindly, and being who they want their children to see. Their children are now not going to school every day seeing the teacher. It's you, and they're going to see you every day. Who are you? Mummy.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Are you being a good role model to your child? The first person they see, the first time when they leave the house, is you they're leaving behind. And do they give that teacher more respect than they do you? Those little things. And it's a lovely question because they're everywhere. When people talk to me about role models, it's like, who's in your life that you actually touch? Because Beyonce is not coming to you anytime soon, you know?
Yes,
And,
indeed.
You know, Chimamanda, as much as I love her, and people, Chimamanda Adichie, and a lot of people know her. I've met her a few times. She can be inspirational, but I don't know her. You know, I know my aunt who's 83 years old and I adore her and I send her messages every day. That is my, you know, that someone is in my life that I can touch and feel, who knows me and loves me for me. That's my role model. It's not that we don't have leaders. We've always been leaders. We don't need a title of leaders. We're there. We're just doing what we do, bringing up households, bringing up the business side of things, bringing up the community and making sure that our influence as females, what we bring to the table is a unique set of skills that men don't have. They bring their unique set of skills, but together when you connect them, you make better skills. So it's being recognized as a woman leader, being recognized by the male leaders and getting the job done.
Amen to that.
That's all I see. And I've had this question, not quite the way you've said it, but in so many different ways. And I go back to, who do you know? If you think your doctor or your dentist is your role model, at least you know them. And you can aspire to be a dentist or doctor if you're 7, 8 years old. And, you know, they make you feel good because they offer you candy and all that stuff if you behave yourself. And they've got a white coat on and you like that. And you're going to study hard to become a dentist or a doctor. Then do that because someone you know, someone you can touch and feel had that job. Right.
So that's the importance of being sure to be visible and present and give back, kind of like what you do. I love that. So Toyin, that was a great last word. So if you want to leave it there, that's perfectly fine. But any final last words for our listeners before we sign off?
My final last word is to just be that person in your community. If you just speak to one person and impact their life, it's enough. Because it's better than no people.
Right. You know? Each one, teach one.
Each one, teach one, so that one thing that you've done is that ripple can be a whole wave. Yeah. It can be an avalanche. But it starts with the first step.
Okay, excellent. So all of Toyin's information will be in the show notes. But Toyin, if you want to give us any information about where to find you, what you're working on, please do go ahead.
Lovely. So you can find me on Facebook under my name, Toyin Dania. You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Toyin Dania. I also am on Twitter, Toyin28. And they're the main handles that I use. The Digilogic project that I'm on is on my Facebook as well as on my LinkedIn. So you're going to find those details. But as Florence said, there'll be specific information on the show notes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Toyin. Until next time. So listeners, this has been another episode of Glocal Citizens.
You can catch us with a new episode every Tuesday at www.glocalcitizenspod.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Please do share, like, subscribe, tell somebody, recommend a guest. We love to hear from you. So until next time, bye for now.